Beat 500, get into the wild card.
86 got the Phillies all the way to the World
I
Series.
hate to break it to you, man. I don't think it was your vision.
Tipo un caballo.
This podcast is perfectly named, I would say.
I hate to make excuses for Sandy and the rest of the
No,
pitcher
you don't. You've been doing it all year.
I do hate it. I'm just gonna say it.
And fucking hitting bombs to fucking Calle Ocho. Like,
Inject that into my veins.
If that continues, there's no way we make the playoffs.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 25, a quarter century in of the Battered Marlins Fan Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, and alongside me, I have three Battered fans. Well, not the regular three, but at least we're a foursome again, right? Because we've been down to like two over the last couple of weeks. I got my man, Bretton, Spaz, and a very special guest from UK himself, Mr. Peter Pratt. Let's start with Mr. Peter Pratt. How are you doing, sir?
Guys, it's great to be back. And it's timely. We started the season, now we're ending it. And so I'm feeling good. We're in exactly the right spot. We're where we wanted to be. So this is going to be a fun episode. I'm looking forward to it. There's some nervous Marlins fans at this point, but I'm not nervous. I'm feeling good. So I'm looking forward to this one, guys. I believe.
You believe. There we go.
I believe.
How you doing, Spaz? It was nice seeing you out at the ballpark. Was that on Tuesday night?
yeah, we caught the game on Tuesday. It was very nice seeing you, and thankfully we got a dub. Did you stay the whole game? Because I left like in the bottom of the eighth, I think.
I left at the top of the eighth because I was there with my kids. It was
Right.
a school night, and I thought we had it in the bag. 3-1.
Same.
Okay, so Nardi, Tanner Scott, and we're off to the races. And I left, and on the way home,
All hell broke loose.
We'll talk about that in a second. So for sure, but yeah, it was definitely nice to be out there. You and your miraculous stash. It's always nice seeing that in person.
Yeah. Happy to be back.
Man, Brad, and for those that don't know, Spaz was out on, how old was it? Like 38-day trip out to
It
Europe.
was not a 38-day trip, but my liver feels like it was a 38-day trip, but it was not a 38-day trip.
He was out there scouting some Greek talent for Kim to bring into the team next year.
Right. Games out there.
I like it. And Brighton, man, how you been?
Oh, I'm great, man. Got my Jacksonville hat on because Sandy is pitching tonight for Jacksonville. He's coming back, gonna will us to the playoffs with his competitive fire for 2 starts to finish the season. So I am pumped.
I know. I'm pumped for this episode. I'm pumped for this. I mean, all we wanted, we kept saying, right? Stay over 500 long enough to make a run at the very end. We're over 500, 2 weeks to go. This is go time. It's go time, baby. So let's see how things. But let's go over the last week of Marlins baseball. And I guess the best way to start is me calling it back to last week when me and Brighton were on by ourselves. And Brighton said, we'll take 2 of 3 from the Braves. And I said, I think you're being a little too optimistic. I'll say 1 of 3, and then we'll take 2 of 3, or maybe even sweep the Mets. And I ate my words, Brighton. It was even better than you thought. So
It was.
we swept the Braves. We were 9-1 up until this series against. I'm sorry, 1-9, right? 1-9 against the Braves up until this series. Over the last 2 seasons, I think it was 22-7 against them. They're 22 wins to our 7 wins. So it's been lopsided, to say the least. So I'll go straight to our special guest of honor, Mr. Peter Pratt. What were your biggest takeaways from this Braves sweep?
Who saw this one coming? I mean, what?
Brighton almost did. I think he was just scared to say it, but I think he saw it.
Yeah.
Last time we had Peter on, he called for a Braves sweep. He was just a couple weeks
remember
early.
This. And I think we ended up getting swept. He just called it the wrong way.
I just said sweep. I just walk around saying sweep, and just sometimes it happens. But main takeaways were 36 runs in 3 games. There's not really much. You can't do much more than that, to be honest. It was absolutely stunning. The Marlins poured it on, which is great to see. Never normally happens, particularly against the Bravos. Those boys were hungover. I remember watching the game 1 and literally Ozzy Albies. I could see him. He looked like Spazzy in Greece. Like it was, he was disorientated. He didn't know what was happening at second base. So we caught the Braves at exactly the right time.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Normally, when the Marlins do that, they catch a team at the right. They just can't. They can't deliver. They couldn't have done any more. They fully delivered in this one. And you try to pick out like who was the hero. You start asking yourself, well, yeah, Jazz for sure. Yeah. But the way to answer that is who wasn't the hero? Who didn't? do anything. And actually, the only answer was Joey Wendell. Apart from that, everyone delivered something in that series. So, for me, that's an all-time series, one of the greatest Marlins series that I think I've ever seen, frankly, at the time of year.
Yeah.
Against the best team in the NL. Okay, they're hungover, but I mean, that's a historic series right there we've just seen. Then we've seen the Mets series, which wasn't quite as fun, but yeah, it's hard to pick out one moment in that one series with 36 runs, but what a sweep.
Breton, I know right after the Marlins swept the Braves, I said, how Marlins would it be for us to sweep the Braves and then lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets? Now, Breton and
I told you
on me. Yes, we think those things, but we don't say them. I unfortunately said them, and we're going to get into the Mets series later. But what were your thoughts on the Braves sweep?
I didn't see it coming, and it was total domination. Like, there wasn't like one facet of our game that didn't come through, and like that's the potential of this team, right? Like, that's what we can do when everything is clicking. Starters look good, bullpen look good, bats look good. I mean, it was just a total, like, that's what you want, and that's what we've been wanting the Marlins to deliver all year, is like a consistent performance against a contender, because most of the time the contenders come to town or we go there and we disappear. And so to me, that was the springboard that we needed to. That was the most pivotal series of the season, because had we gotten swept, like we probably could have, if we had gone in it the same mentality we normally do with the Braves, we'd be out of it at this point, because then you drop 2 with the Mets and you're sitting, because what are we, a game out now? We could be 4 games out because those other teams were winning.
We're a half game.
So, it was pivotal, and it was the most exciting series that we've had this season. And if we make the playoffs, that's the moment that it happened. Was that series, in my opinion.
Would you, Spaz, if we make the playoffs, are you pointing back to the Jazz 2 grand slams in a row, 2 games in a row? Was that the moment? Because to me, I was like, what the hell is happening right now? This isn't real. And I feel like those are the 2 moments right there. What did you think about the Brave series and just that moment in general?
I mean, I was trying to kind of still get my bearings together, and I'm seeing the score just kind of like, and I'm like, no, is this like a fever dream? Am I like, what's going on? But
That's right. You got back on Friday.
Yeah, I got back on Friday night. So Saturday, I was trying to get my shit together, and yeah, man, I'm looking at this, and I see the runs go up, and I'm like, nah. But dude, those runs and everything going on, it was incredible to see. And I was like, okay, I'm back, and we're winning, and we're going all the way. And then we all know what happened this last series, but it shows what we can do. I mean, it shows what we can do for sure.
Look, outside of the post All-Star, there were like 2 or 3 week span where we just completely let loose of that 14 game over 500. Like it just completely disappeared. We've looked like a solid team the rest of the year all around. It's that 3 week span or so where everything went wrong. Now, from that Brave series, a couple of things that I take away. One, we were down 2 runs in the first 2 games, and we came back both times. The first inning, we had Cueto starting, and obviously that didn't start off well, and we had to come back from behind. And against the Braves, you figure the way the last 2 seasons have gone, or even this season where we're just 1-9, that mentally you're like, oh, here we go again. Even the players possibly. But there was no quit. We came back the first game. Second game, we had a 4-0 lead. They came back, took a 6-4 lead like in the 5th inning. And again, we came back and we took that lead. So I think the fact that we fought back after trailing is one big deal. And the other was the fact that I was talking about this a week or 2 ago where I said, I don't know if we can compete going on constant bullpen days. Because I don't care what people say. If Johnny Cueto's starting, that's a bullpen day. And then we had, was it Hoeing going on Sunday? We had 2 bullpen days, and we managed to sweep the Braves anyway. So to me, those are my 2 biggest takeaways outside of the bats, obviously, coming alive. I think that this series, like Spaz said, was a big deal because we showed that we belong, that we can do this, and things are looking up. So I'm feeling really positive. But I jinxed it. I said, how Marlins would it be? And, well, here we are. Peter Pratt, I'm going to go to you. What do you think of that Mets series and what we witnessed?
There's two takeaways, right? Two main ones. Well, three, I'd say. Firstly, the Mets are still a good roster, right? And so in our minds, there's a bit of a trick. There's a mind trick that's happening where you're like, oh, their record's terrible. They're a terrible team. And then you go, oh, wow, okay, Frankie Lindor's still playing. Oh, Pete Alonso's in this and Brandon Nimmo. You're like, actually, the Mets have still got some dudes. They just haven't played well. So that's the one thing I'd say about the Mets. And Senga has actually pitched great all year.
Love Senga.
Absolutely. Two main takeaways for this series for me. Fundamentally, you talk about a pivotal moment and a pivotal series about sweeping the Braves, and could that be the moment that gets the Marlins in when we look back on the year?
I know what you're about to say.
There's one moment, right, where we'll look back and go, could that be the moment where the Marlins didn't make it? That Jorge Soler foul pole extravaganza.
Yeah.
You know, that truly could be a sliding doors moment in the Marlins season, where if that's ruled as it once was, and I don't know, and fundamentally, and I spoke about this on my pod yesterday, how are we in this situation? How is Major League Baseball in this situation in 2023 where you've got four dudes stood around trying to guess, has it gone foul or fair? Like, I just watched the US Open tennis for the whole 2 weeks. There's not one line judge anymore in tennis. Everything is done in the US Open electronically. There's ball track and everything's like, how are we in this age of Major League Baseball and technology where we're still like trying to work it out? So huge moment. I do wonder what the future holds for that situation. The other thing, which has got topical today, which really irked me, to be honest, was the attendance issue as well. You know, 10,000 fans or whatever there yesterday on the Wednesday game. Like, there's been so many excuses used by Marlins fans. I use them as well because I don't live that near, and many of us don't. But to only have like 10,000 in the final homestand week when this club is right in it, these are effectively playoff games, and there's no one turning up. And I get it, weather's not good and the traffic's crap and blah blah blah. But listen, if you wanted to be there, you could get there. And fundamentally, the Marlins fans decided not to get there. And for me, I saw that as a straight up embarrassment, to be honest with you, of this fan base. It looks embarrassing. The optics are bad. Everything's bad about it. You got to cut the excuses and they got to be there. It'll be better on the weekend for obvious reasons, but I was stunned at the attendance, to be honest with you, across the whole series, not just Wednesday. The whole series was like sub 15,000 per game. That's just not good enough, to be honest. So, yeah, a lot of takeaways, none of them really that positive, other than Garrett Hampson's emerging as a stud, by the way.
Yes, he is. But I'm glad you brought up the attendance because I was there with Spaz and we were talking about it in person because it's like, man, this is game 2. We're in the thick of a playoff race. And I remember I took a picture from center field, right, looking at home plate. And, you know, it's a beautiful panoramic that we could see the whole stadium. And it's basically empty. And it's like, how is this possible? Like any other place in the country, when you're in the middle of a playoff race with 2 weeks left and you're half a game out, the stadium's at least 3/4 full. But, man, it was 3/4 empty, unfortunately. Now, so to give everybody a little credit, it started getting a little fuller, like once I think, bottom of the first, top of the second inning. Everybody started trickling in a little late, I guess. Miami, whatever. I still think it's a crappy excuse. But it wasn't as bad as before the first pitch, but it was way too empty. And I was having that conversation with a few people that I was sitting around. So, takeaways from
I
the
did
Mets.
want to touch on that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think those 6:40 starts, I know they did them because, you know, to end the game earlier and all that. But those 6:40 starts, I feel, have really screwed with the beginning of the game. Because just like you, I see those empty blue seats, you know, and again, towards the first or second inning, people start trickling in. But that's the time people can make it with Miami traffic and all that. That's when they finally make it there. That's those 6:40 starts. I get why they did it just to end the game earlier, so people aren't at the park at 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night. But I think that's just screwing everything up, and it's happened. We've been doing it for almost 2 seasons. I think it is the 6:40.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you on the 6:40 starts because that's the reason I've only been to 2 weekday games this year.
It's hard.
Is because for me, it takes me an hour and a half to get down there because I'm going like, you know, still business traffic, and then coming back is like another hour and a half, and with 2 kids, like it's just not possible all the time. But you know, I'll be there this weekend, so that's good. But you know,
I love the 6:40 start because with my kids, I need to get them to bed early. So look, it was 9 o'clock, and I was like, it's the top of the 8th. I gotta head out of here. But
yeah.
if it would have been a 7-10 start, I would have been leaving at the bottom of the 6th maybe. So I'm glad with that 6:40 start.
But I don't, just to touch on the attendance thing, like I don't get it because, you know, right before the All-Star break, like we were averaging like 20,000 people in the stadium for those big games running into the All-Star break. I mean, yeah, we were on our hot streak and we've been, you know, until the Braves series, we've been pretty bad the second half of the season, but I don't understand how we can attract that at that point in the season. And then now, you know, everybody's gone.
I have a theory for that though. I have a theory as to why we had that. No, well,
everybody else's playoff runs.
Yes, the Miami Heat and the Florida Panthers had South Florida hot, just hot with sports. They were fiending for sports because they had playoffs in the finals in both sports, and all of a sudden the Messi news breaks, and everybody is just like sports. All of a sudden the Heat and the Panthers disappear. Messi's not going to debut for another month and a half, and everybody's left with like, wow, like I really had a sports high. What do I watch now? Well, the Marlins are supposedly good, and all of a sudden everybody went to the ballpark for like a month, and then Messi showed up, and then the Dolphins training camp, and then everything just disappeared again. Because that's what the problem with baseball here in South Florida is that it gets lost in the shuffle because football is so big down here, basketball is so big down here, and now Messi is so big down here. So it stinks because the Marlins do get lost in the shuffle.
There's only one solution, guys. There's a clear and obvious solution. Everything that everyone has just said, and I am
Messi to throw out the first pitch.
Like, get Messi on the roster. I mean, listen, you know, we need a setup guy. We need a pinch runner. I'm not sure actually, but there's one obvious solution here, guys. We're all missing it. More day games, more day games, more UK friendly extravaganzas. That's what we need. I mean, these 640s are a nonsense. Let's get them earlier in the day.
Yeah, but look at that. Look, real fans right here agrees with you. Even like the early shows.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So backpedaling here, back to what we were talking about originally. Spaz, what were your thoughts on the Mets series? I know I jinxed them. You ain't got to throw it in my face.
So my buddy that I went with when I saw you, he's a huge Mets fan, and I mean he's about as pessimistic as you can be as a Mets fan, and you know rightfully so. They're awful, and he's like, no, you know, you swept the Braves, you guys are going to sweep us too. This, and then while we're watching the game, he's like, this is crazy. Like, why are we getting these hits? Why are we getting? So it's surprising to him. So yeah, I thought it would be a lot easier, especially since we've been doing so much better than them. And it was just disappointing, man. I am still have a little bit of hope, have a little bit of optimism, which is very unlike me. But let's see what we can do against the Brewers, man. Yeah, that's right. Believe. I've been doing this podcast with you way too long. I'm starting to turn into.
I'm rubbing off on you, or
a little bit. I don't like you very much.
And if you listen to Peter Pratt, he's like the ultimate optimist. So we're all rubbing off on you, Spaz.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Mets series, Brandon?
You know, it was shit. that's it. You know, fortunately we saved Tanner Scott the embarrassment of blowing 2 games in a row. You know, he really cost us the Monday game and almost cost us the Tuesday game. So luckily we were able to grab the Tuesday game. Last night, $5 burger day, we just didn't show up. And you know, I think Berger also left injured in the game. So waiting to hear. We haven't heard anything yet today. So hopefully that means it's just something minor and he'll be back tomorrow. But you know, just disappointing overall. You know, there's just nothing, like Peter said, there's nothing you can take out of this game or this series that was positive. You know, the home run, like I was texting you guys and I was like, oh, it's a home run. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, nope, now they're reviewing it. Now it's a foul ball. And then I was like, fuck, it's over.
Can I ask you guys a question? Maybe I'm off base thinking this.
That's the answer.
Well, the thing is, with that home run, what had me kind of confused is that they called it a home run initially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed it to a foul ball without checking the replay. Now, What bothers me about that is that I would assume, and I don't know because I haven't checked the rules but when it's clear when it is not clear and inconclusive, they can't overturn the call.
It's the original call, whatever it
It's
was.
the original call. So what angers me is that the original call was a home run, but then they changed it to a foul ball. So when they went to check it on the replay, technically now the original call is a foul ball, even though it really was originally a home run. So if they don't randomly flip-flop without looking at the replay, and then they look at the replay, it's still inconclusive. So therefore, it should be a home run. Therefore, the Mets should have lost 2 out of 3. The Marlins should be currently at 80 wins, and we should be riding high with a half-game lead into the wild card. So I think it's BS. I just wanted to put that out there because I don't see how they can flip-flop and then go ahead and check the replay afterwards and then go based off of that last call. But I'm just talking into the wind at this point.
No, I think everyone agrees with you.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
No, and like Peter said, like we can have a computer program that tells us, bam, this ball crossed the line. It didn't cross the line in tennis, but we can't do that with a foul ball. And in 2023, we're just letting 4 guys who knows last time they had an eye exam, because I don't think any of them did, to call that a foul ball.
No,
you know, and Soler gets penalized because he hit the ball too high. Build those poles to the ceiling then.
There you go, baby.
But why aren't they built to the ceiling though?
We need bigger poles.
Because it's traditional that they're the same height as they were back, like at the polo
Never heard that one before.
Like,
No, that's a new one for this show.
Can we get VAR on the foul poles?
We should. Look, let me tell you something. With the whole Inter Miami against Atlanta thing, this whole goal line technology, foul ball technology, we need to step our games up in America. Because come on, like how do we not have all these things done? So, and in honor of,
I got roasted for my take
UK,
on that,
I got
by
this
the way.
little cup right here.
Oh boy, look at this.
Little cafecito.
Cheers to you, Peter.
Beautiful. Cheers to you, Senor.
Cheers.
All right.
That's glorious. What was in there? Was it a cafecito or was it just a sneaky tequila?
It's called the Cuban crack. That's that Cuban crack.
Cuban crack.
Yeah, it's that. I don't know. My wife is Cuban. She gives it to me once I drink it. I'm ready to go.
It's about to get crazy.
This podcast could get loose.
Supposedly it's just coffee, though. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So Braxton, game 2 of the Mets series. He went 6 innings strong. Braxton, I feel, and I've heard Peter, you say it also. When Braxton's out there, and we've been saying it for a while also, whether he gets the win or not, we're going to win that game.
Yeah.
And here's another example. He didn't get the win. We won in the bottom of the 9th. But, man, I don't know what it is about Braxton. He just brings that luck. I don't know. I love Braxton. Yuri is giving up way too many home runs, in my opinion. And I wanted to ask you guys, because I had this conversation with Brighton last week, but Brighton is always a homer. He always defends his guys. So it's hard to have these conversations with Brighton. So I'm going to ask Peter. What do you think about Yuri's propensity to give up home runs? Because I feel like he gives up way too many home runs.
Yeah, it's his only kryptonite, right? It's been the only flaw that we've seen. Luckily, primarily, they're solo shots. So you can live by that and live with it. I think, with Yuri, I think just with the Marlins staff in general, right? You kind of look at Yuri Perez and you look at Eddie Cabrera. I think those two, let's kind of think of those two together. Skip Schumacher is like pulling his hair out, kind of, all year, thinking about and saying to Eddie Cabrera, attack the zone, throw strikes, Eddie. And so, listen, when Yuri Perez is following instruction and executing it in that way and pitching like an absolute stud at the age of 20, the odd one's going to go out there because he's on the attack. It's fine. It happens. So, and that's the thing. Yuri's been so good. They've been solo shots. It is his only kryptonite right now. And some of his pitches, I feel like the scouting report on Yuri Perez and what we've actually seen haven't been the same thing. Like, we're expecting this, crazy change up. But he's barely thrown that pitch. He's kind of like evolved as a pitcher and, just started throwing a completely different type of game I expected. But, what we have seen, though, yesterday clearly is like we're maybe at the end of the road here with Yuri Perez this season. And he may not make another start. I think that could, in fact, be his final start potentially. Like, he's starting to talk like he's tired. And he hasn't said that at all this year. And I think as soon as you've seen anything like that with Yuri Perez, I think it's time to shut him down. It's going to hurt us right now. But we've had like probably 4 extra starts out of him than we expected. But it wouldn't shock me if we don't see Yuri Perez again this season, to be honest with you, particularly, and we'll probably segue into this later in the show, but, if Sandy's trying to come back, he's maybe looking to lighten the load here and say, listen, Yuri, you have a seat. You've done all you can. I'm going to try and get back in the mix and help this team. But, what a season it's been. What a rookie season for Yuri Perez. I mean, for 20 years of age, it's blown me away, frankly. And the odd solo shot, it is what it is.
No, I'm excited to see him next year. It's just you're almost guaranteed to see that once again. Brighton, I'll go to you again. You worried yet for Yuri or no?
No, he's a 20-year-old kid, man. Like he's like Peter said, and like we've talked about the last couple of weeks, like he's attacking the zone, and he's got all the confidence in the world in that fastball. And what happens is a lot of times those hitters sit on either a first pitch, they swing hard at it, and it's a home run, or they wait until it's like a 3-2 count, and they know he has to throw a good pitch, and then that's when he gets into trouble with those home runs. So, I think I mentioned it last pod is I think what needs to happen is maybe in the offseason he needs to work on adding another pitch. Because right now he's very fastball dominant, and I think if he kind of like Sandy, where Sandy added in like that nasty changeup he has, right? Like if Yuri can find a way to add in something like that, I think that just makes him even better for next season. And he's so good, he's not letting runners on base, so they're solo shots. It is what it is. It's a lot better than what we're getting out of our other pitchers who aren't named Brax or Lizardo.
Yeah, well, you got Cueto out of the pen now as well, right? Like all of a sudden, Cueto's strolling out to the bullpen, and
I'd rather have Stallings throw than Cueto. Hey, Stallings struck out Acuna earlier in the season.
There you go.
Cueto hasn't done anything.
What was that?
Do I sound better now? I had somebody tell me that I was sounding kind of weird. So
yeah, now you
sound good.
You sound good now.
Oh, okay.
Sexy.
All right. Oh, well, thank you. It must have been that. Was it the highly dirty water?
That's what it was.
All right. So I heard you talking about Yuri. And I agree. Now with Sandy hopefully coming back, what do you think Spaz? What do you think this starting rotation is going to look like now to end the season? Because I agree. I think Yuri might have played his last start. Cueto, unfortunately, is going to be starting those bullpen days. And before you answer, Spaz, actually, we had Cueto show up, was it last night in the 8th and 9th inning, and give up a solo home run in the 8th and a solo home run in the 9th? Or maybe it wasn't even solo home runs. Can we stop putting Cueto out there? Or do you think he's going to be Why?
He's part of it. He's part of it.
They're addicted to him.
Part of what?
They need him.
I'd rather have Robertson out there. And you know how much I love Robertson.
Ooh, baby.
It's gotten to that point where I just don't want to see Cueto out there. And I feel bad. He's had a decent career, but like, I don't want to see him out there anymore.
It's over.
That's the thing. I mean, we gave him the contract. We're not going to just not use him. And it's going to hurt us. It's detrimental to our own team, but they're going to throw him out there and hopefully he gets something done. They're kind of hoping and wishing that they get some of their money's worth, but not working out, man.
He's been consistent. That's the one thing I would say with Cueto. Like his lines. Yes. It looks like Bart Simpson and writing those lines. They look identical. 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 home runs. You're like, okay, it's like over and over and over again. It's so consistent. It's
when
really
you
impressive.
see Cueto's name on the lineup card, the batters know they got to score at least 8.
You know it, right? Literally is like seven or above to win that game. You know it before you even started, which they seem to do it though. Actually, the funny thing is like they've come alive, the offense, when Cueto's going. So, it's funny how it works that way sometimes, isn't it? Where like you just know you have to be on it today, offense. It has to happen because we're going to need it. So, yeah, Cueto, interesting one this year. I think thinking back to him though, I think we've ended up getting a bit more out of him than I expected based on that rehab assignment. I mean, in that rehab assignment, I'd retired him. Yeah. Like I thought he was done. His career was done. So
that's true.
We've had some innings from him. They've all looked the same, and the Marlins have had to score 6 to win those games. So, we'll see what the future holds for Cueto. But I don't think the Marlins are going to pick up that option, though. You would assume, right?
Oh fuck no!
No.
Wasn't his
Uh,
ERA during the rehab like 9.11 at one point? Like,
it might have been.
I think
It
that's
might have
low.
been.
I think it was 19-1-1.
Yeah.
All right, so Spaz, what do you think that this rotation might look like? You know, we got Brax, which is our most consistent player. Luzardo, I've been hearing that he might get shut down. Also, I'm telling, I don't know. I hope that's
Where'd you
just
hear
Twitter talk
that?
on the Evo X. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that those are just silly things that people are saying, and then hopefully Sandy. So we got those top 3 dogs. Is Cabrera the 4th?
I mean, who else do we
Yeah.
have? We don't have. I mean, it has to be Cabrera, especially if supposedly Yuri's getting sent down and he's shut down for the season. Who else do we have? We don't have many other options.
Mhm.
And
You're right.
and Matt Moore's going to help us out this, to end the season out of the
Yep.
bullpen. So
He might be starting games. You know, he was a starter before Matt Moore. Who knows? Maybe
it's a big ask. But what options do we have?
I said we throw George Soriano out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Fuck it. I mean, we got to experiment and see what.
Look,
what
we're doing 2 bullpen days every 5 days. Apparently, every 5 days we got 2 bullpen days going. So it worked against the Braves. So I'm not gonna knock it, but I don't know. Peter, if we make the playoffs, they shorten up the rotation to maybe a 4-man rotation, sometimes even 3. What do you think that it possibly looks like?
First question is, what's Sandy doing? So let's see what Sandy can do this evening. Like, this is a high risk situation with Sandy Alcantara. I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but to me, reading between the lines here, Sandy's just pushing through. Is just my assessment of the situation. The gut feel is here that he wants to impact the team, and they obviously want to get in the postseason, and he wants to pitch in the postseason as well. So Sandy's doing this to pitch in the postseason. So let's assume Sandy's there. This could go really wrong, and there could be no Sandy Alcantara in 2024. So this is like
That's
how
true.
high risk I think this situation is, to be honest with you.
You think it's worth it?
I mean,
we're so close.
I know,
it's
so close, but
right.
I mean,
do you think that if I know anything is possible once you get to the dance, because we've seen it right twice before, 2003 and 97, but if we were to make the playoffs, do you think the World Series is like a possibility? Or do you think, because if you think that it's a real possibility, then go all in, right? But like if you think like we're probably better suited for next year, you probably want to risk Sandy getting injured.
I think that kind of links back to the other guys we've spoken about, right? Because this isn't just Sandy. This is Yuri Perez done as well? Is Luzardo blowing? You've then got a rotation of Chichi Gonzalez, Braxton Garrett, and Johnny Cueto in the that's not going to get it done in the playoffs. So
No.
and that's the problem. Like they're just running out of bullets. Like they've been good, but they're so young.
You always have Stallings.
Stallings is available.
Yeah.
Alfaro's available. He's so versatile. So anything's possible with Alfaro. But I think just where we're at now, everything to me is just saying, like, even if the Marlins squeak in, I fear they've just run out of bullets out of the rotation, and I just don't think it's going to be enough to really go deep in a postseason run, to be honest, which is disappointing. But Skips basically managed this team. I would describe his management of the rotation and the bullpen as kamikaze, and he's had to do it. And I don't not Skip. It has been kamikaze management, and it is what he's had to do it.
Just want to take a quick second. Real fans, you need to go ahead and follow Peter Pratt.
And
this
watch
is where
his
you gotta
pod
get.
every
You gotta
day.
get. He has a daily Marlins podcast, Locked On Marlins. Go ahead, and he is my morning drive to work every day. So go ahead and make sure that
you
get
missed Peter Pratt running in his garden this weekend.
Oh yeah,
carrying on in the middle of the night
on Twitter. So go ahead, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and follow Peter Pratt, Locked On Marlins, YouTube, audio, and on Twitter. So he also said no way we can make a run in the playoffs. Well, I don't want to say no way because, like I said, crazier things have happened. But I'd rather play it safe and kind of set up for next year because I feel like the core of this team looks really good for next year.
Agreed.
And maybe we can start hot. Like I know we surprised a lot of people the first half of the year. We're not surprising anybody next year because our expectations are going to be a lot higher next year. And I kind of want to set up for that. Maybe we can upgrade at catcher. We could upgrade at shortstop, and maybe look a little better at closer. Tanner Scott kind of, he's inconsistent. He's not as consistent as Cueto, like Peter Pratt was saying. So,
consistent in a different way.
To kind of touch on the Sandy thing though, he's pitching tonight, right? So we don't have to throw him in the rotation until the Mets series. We're gonna know if we're in it or not by then. Like, we could completely shit the bed against the Brewers, and then we don't have to worry about it, right? Because there's no way Sandy was pitching if the playoffs aren't on the line. But we just have to.
By the way, Peter Pratt told
Joe.
us before the show started that he did get the facial hair memo, and that's as much as it grows.
He's
so.
full grown,
baby.
I'm sorry, Peter. Brandon, go ahead.
Oh, Joe, that's our
you
buddy.
can
Joe.
always count on Joe. but yeah. So I think you have to kind of go for it, right? Like, you have to have Sandy there, and there's no way. Like, I don't want to be the guy that has to go to Sandy in the middle of a playoff hunt and be like, yeah, we're just going to shut you down. Like, he's not going to take that well, the type of competitor he is. Like, that person is not walking out of that room. So, I think we got to give him the chance, and let's see what he does tonight. I'll be watching, and hopefully he has a decent start, but maybe it's something where he only comes in and he's like an opener, right? Gives us 4 or 5 innings, and then, they pull him out of precaution, which I'd be fine with. But, I think the flip side of the coin too is, like, Sandy hasn't been great this year, right? So,
but
there's that too.
The distance and letting the bullpen get like a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's true. And like, when you look at the stats, like, you see that he has the lowest run support out of any of our starters by far. Like, because kind of like we were talking about with Cueto, the batters know we only have to score 1 or 2 with Sandy on the hill, and it hasn't helped us. But
how many of these rehab
we'll
assignments is he going to go through? Is it
Jacksonville's season ends this weekend, I think. So he's only has a chance to do 1 start with them. Yeah.
Is Sixto available, by the way? Like, just what's happened to Sixto?
Ooh, Spazzy's favorite player.
Listen,
he's vanished.
I don't.
I had a theory that Spazzy was in Greece with Sixto and Victor Mesa.
Yeah, Gene Segura there too. He could have been.
Gene was driving the boat.
Spending that contract money, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, but we'll see.
So one last thing to touch on that Mets series, I didn't want to go without bringing up. Luis Ariz hit that 200th hit the season. That big first game of that series. That's big time. He's only the 4th Marlin to do it. Poor preparation on my behalf that I didn't have the other 3, but I know he was the 4th. So I'll find out.
Juan Pierre, Hanley, and
Dan Ugla. Just kidding.
No. 200 strikeouts in a season? Is that what we're talking about?
Actually, Bratton, you got
I got 2 of them.
So Hanley Ramirez in 2007, Juan Pierre did it twice in 2003 and 2004, and D. Gordon did it twice in 2015 and 2017.
Yeah. D.
And
Strange
now,
Gordon.
and now Luis Ariz. All right. So congratulations to our guy. I mean, he ended up being, like, I know Jazz is the face, but I think Luis Ariz is the best player and the most important player, in my opinion. So I know some people might argue that, but that's how I feel, because Luis Ariz
still waiting for that extension to get that jersey.
Yeah, Kim needs to tighten up.
By the way, if you want his All-Star jersey, it's on sale at the ballpark. They had it like on 25% off. So in case you want to get his All-Star jersey,
the All-Star jersey.
Yeah,
I might snag that this weekend then.
Should get some use out of that. There's probably multiple years of All-Star appearances. So
yeah,
look at that.
I can always just say, hey, this is the year he made it with the Marlins, even if Kim trades him for something in the offseason.
Yeah, we need an arm. Let's try and get Pablo back.
Don't break my heart like that, man. I love Pablo.
All right, so I guess we'll go to the predictions now. But before we get into just this weekend's predictions, because Peter Pratt is joining us, and he predicted that we would be in the race in September. Now I want to get your up-to-date prediction. Do you think we make the playoffs?
Boy, oh boy. I was so hyped after that Brave series. Like I was in a spaces immediately after. I mean, I had the abacus out trying to count up how many runs we'd scored in that series. It was just insane. I think I was predicting the wild card 2, even the wild card 1 spot after that series. It's fair to say, like, the helium has gone out of this balloon a touch. But, I mean, to Brandon's point he made, I think, was such a great one about Sandy and this Brewers series. The interesting thing about the Brewers series, though, and we'll talk about it, is just these guys, they pretty much won the division now. It's kind of locked up for them in many ways. Like, I do think that kind of helps. Like, the Marlins caught the Braves at a good time where they just won the division. You know, I do wonder if the Brewers are starting to kind of foot off the gas it a touch. But I do know the Cubs, I think, play the Brewers later again, and they'll be fully foot off the gas. So, you know, the Marlins have to play well. If they play well, they'll get in. And actually, when you look at it, Brewers, a Mets team that isn't that great, and a Pirates team that isn't that great, like, it's in our hands. Play well, get in. Are they going to play well? I think it comes down to what's happening with Luis Arias and his ankle. What's happening with Jake Berger and his quad area.
Right. I forgot to bring those two things up. Yeah, I forgot.
All of a sudden, you know, they're getting these little niggly injuries right at the back end. It's really tough to overcome. So, you know, they need Berger and they need Arias in the lineup. I think if those guys are in there in this weekend series, for me, that's just how critical those guys are. I think the Marlins need them in there. And I think if they do, there's going to be a record weekend of attendance. I think the attendance thing is just going to be, it's going to be insane this weekend. Everyone's going to show up. It's going to be a wild situation. And I think the Marlins beat the Brewers this weekend. It sets them up for the next week and they get in. It's in the wild card 3 spot, but I actually really like the wild card 3 spot for a deeper run than actually the 2 or the 1 personally. So I think they get in. I think they could win a wild card series. And then who knows what happens against the Dodgers.
That's the beauty. Who knows?
Who knows?
Once you get into the dance, anything can happen. You just got to get hot with the right pitchers. And to your point about Arias and Berger, over the last 2 series, Arias batting .526 and Berger batting .435.
Unbelievable.
OPS 1.526 for Arias, 1.326 for Berger. So they were both on fire when they both got injured. So hopefully they're good to go this series and next.
Yeah.
I haven't. How's that Jazz 40-40 tracker going?
Well,
I know he's not going to hit 40-40, but like, is he going to hit 20-20? I haven't been checking.
He's close. I mean, he's got a chance to have a 2020 year. I think, again, if
he's
the Marlins...
18 home runs, and
18,
he already got the 22 stolen bases. Okay, so he's just 2 home runs off.
2 bombs away.
He could do that.
He could do that. Yeah.
I mean, if 2 salamis, 2 more salamis, just imagine that. That would be stunning. But yeah, the 40-40 probably would have been in reach if he played a 1.62, to be honest with you. Like, you know,
the new rules.
Exactly. Like, the stolen bases is never a problem with Jazz, I don't think.
No.
Like, he can easily take 40 bags whenever he wants. It's just the home runs. And we've seen this new batting stance Jazz. Like, this new stance is delivering. He was walking a ton against the Bravos. So, you know, listen, Jazz, the sky truly is the limit for the guy. He believes he's an MVP caliber player. And frankly, if he's on the field, like, you know, he's in the conversation. It's just stay on the field, Jazz. That's all we're asking. It's all that he wants to do as well. But, you know, he's, for me, when you look back at where he started at center field, it's one of, you know, it blows my mind, to be honest with you, how good Jazz Chisholm Jr. has transitioned into center field. And he looks like a legit stud in center field. And that's, you know, that you got to tip your cap to Jazz for that, because he took it on. And now I'm looking at Jazz going, this isn't Jazz Chisholm Jr., the middle infielder. This is Jazz Chisholm Jr., legit stud center fielder. No questions. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I remember all the haters that were making fun of Jazz in center field. I remember all their names because he's done a good job.
Yeah, he has.
No, Jazz has stepped it up big time in center field, especially from those first couple of series where, like, maybe we should just put him back in the infield. He's looking really good out there. Even though I went to the game, I forget who they were playing when he got injured out in center field going after a ball, and I was like, you can't have our star player out there, but he's done great. And for Richard Greenberg, real quick, there's a battered. At one point, I hope that there's a battered every sports team. So little by little, we're growing. We're like a venom. You're just gonna see. We're just gonna keep spreading, Richard. So keep your eye out. Whatever you want us to cover, you let us know. Here, Chris, I wish Joey Wendell was better. Yes.
I wish he was gone.
A lot of people wish the same. All right, so let's get into these predictions for the next 2 series. We got 3 against the Brewers at home, the last series at home, and then we have 3 in New York against the Mets. I'll start with, as always, with the most optimistic of us all, Mr. Spaz. We got 3 against the Brewers at home. I hope you're going to be out there for one of those games, and then we got 3 in New York. How do you see the next 6 games panning out?
The Brewers, I believe they're first in their division. Something like that.
Yeah, they have a 7.5 game lead over the Cubs, so I think that they're basically done. They got it in the bag.
They're the former Marlin great Kristen Yelich, I believe, is out for a while because of a back injury. So I don't think he's going to play against us. So that works in our favor. I say 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. And honestly, I think we get payback on the Mets for ruining our good time. And I think we sweep the Mets.
Oh, baby.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I'm sticking to it.
5-1? You said 5-1?
5-1. Yes. 5-1.
5-1. You know, we said we wanted 86 wins. That was our prediction. That was our goal from the first episode. We said 86 wins and we're in. 5 wins puts us at 84. We're looking pretty good there, Spaz. I hope you're right. Brighton, what are you thinking?
You know what? I'm all in on the Spaz train. I think 5-1 too. I think tomorrow the Marlins are doing their.
We just lost 2 out of 3 against the Mets, guys.
Hey.
Yeah,
listen.
one was a mistake on the fucking umpire's part.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
So, you know, tomorrow they're doing for the final Flashback Friday. If you're going to go to one of the games, it should be that one. They're rolling back the prices, think I saw, to 93. So I think it's like $2.50 for a hot dog and like $3.50 for a beer. Yeah. So get out there, get loud. What? I think see, the thing is, though, I think we sweep the Brewers at home. We end the season with a sweep at home with the Brewers, and then we take 2 out of 3 with the Mets.
You're doing the reverse thing.
I think, yeah.
Just so you know, I think that tomorrow night's a bullpen day, a.k.a. Johnny Cueto might start. So
doesn't matter.
Just put in, okay, all right.
Just want to make sure
the bats are going to show up. The bats are going to show up. We haven't heard anything about Berger, which tells me he's probably fine. He's going to go tomorrow, hopefully. Arise, maybe he doesn't go tomorrow. Maybe he needs another day off, but maybe he goes Saturday. There's no way you keep those guys out of the playoff race. There's no way that they don't make it in. And, you know, I think the bats are going to bring us in, and I think Jazz is going to get to his 20 home runs. He might even do it in the next 2 series.
Let's go.
Well, he only got 3 series left, so he's got to do it soon. All right. Peter Pratt, what are we thinking? Next 6 games, last homestand, and then 3 in New York.
Boy, oh boy, there is no tougher ask than this Brewers home series. If the Brewers really want to win, and that's, for me, like, is really important here. Like, if the Brewers really want it and they're up for it and they haven't had a load of beers, like, they may have won the series, won the division, maybe by game 1, maybe even, or I haven't looked at the numbers specifically. But let's hope they have, because you've got Burns going, you've got Woodruff going, you've got Peralta going. Like, there is no bigger test pretty much right now.
Murdered us last time.
That's what I mean.
Complete game.
So
yep.
It's going to be a tough ask. So if they win that series, that's a fat dub. A fat dub. Like, I'd love a sweep, absolutely, but they need to win the series. If they do win it, it will be a fat dub, because those 3 pitchers are about as tough as any they can face at this point. The Mets series is another intriguing one. And I think how that Mets series goes will link to how the Brewers series went. If they've won that series and the vibes are rolling, they'll roll into New York and they'll win that series too. And they'll win the Pirates series too. You look at the other clubs they're facing, it's the Cubs and Diamondbacks, right? That's who you're looking at. What have the Cubs got? For me, I look at the Cubs schedule. I think that looks really nice for the Cubs, to be honest with you. I think they look dangerous, to be honest with you. They've got the Rockies on deck now at home. Perfect series. I think they then travel away to the Braves. Braves don't care. By the time they face the Brewers last series, they won't care. They'll be resting everyone. Right. I'd be looking at the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, I think they've got the Yankees on deck. They finish against the Astros and they're fighting. So, and the Yankees all of a sudden playing well too. And they've got another series in the middle of that. So
the White Sox on
the road. And so again, anything can happen. I think it's going to come down to maybe head-to-head, the Marlins and the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, I think, have got a game and a half lead on the Marlins, so it's going to be really tight. I think the Cubs have got a real cupcake walk into this. I can see them catching fire again. I don't know how I'm feeling, to be honest with you. I feel tired, but I feel pumped. I feel pumped because we've this season, we've just, as a fan base and as all of us guys who watch all the games and, we're in it. It's felt like a really long, fun, but draining season, frankly. It's been so many ups and downs, and it would just be a heartbreaker at the back end if they can't quite get in, when it feels like, when you kind of sit back and go, man, how did we not get in? We're 14 games over 500, and there was tons of voodoo. Yeah. And to not get in, you then go, man, well, what's going to happen next year? Let's say there's no voodoo. Is this team back under 500? It feels like this is our chance because we got ourselves in the position. The voodoo's been going. The vibes have been good. Everyone's playing well. Stayed healthy pretty much. This has to be our time. So with that being said, I'm going to change everything. Flip the script. I'm going back-to-back sweeps. Brewers are swept. Mets are swept. Let's fucking get it.
I love it.
You see, I was about to say 5-1 like Spaz and Breton and I thought I was joining in the overconfident, but Peter Pratt
let's
coming in hard. I love it. I love it, which would put us at 85 and 74, one game away from our goal of 86 wins. And man, I'm feeling good.
Let's go.
Peter Pratt brought the energy today.
Yeah.
All right. So, Peter, thank you as always for joining us. We appreciate you joining us in the beginning of the season. Now here with 2 weeks left to finish it up. Peter, please even though they should be following you already, but if they aren't, like real fans wasn't, please let people know where they could find you, follow you, and listen to you on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Firstly, guys, thanks for having me back on. It's always great to talk with you guys. And, let's make sure we do it once the postseason gets rolling as well, boys. So
that's right, because we're making it.
Let's lock that in right now. So appreciate it, guys. And well done for the pod, keeping it rolling. It's been one of my favorites too. For those listening and wondering, where the hell do I find this guy? At Miami Marlins _UK on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you call it these days. I've kind of tried to get Instagram going and TikToks and all this, but I'm just too old for that scene, to be honest with you. So
I've tried it also. It's very difficult.
I feel
it's difficult. I'm too old. I'm too white. There's too many problems.
You should use Instagram for your wine cellar.
This is it.
That's what you should use Instagram for. This is the wine I'm drinking today. That's what you should. I'd follow you.
Yeah, actually. Well, on that topic, I fired up this bad boy here. It's Ivana's Odysseia, right? Okay. It is a Bulgarian Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh,
so
right.
There you go.
I
went left field with this bad boy. So follow me for baseball musings and wine recommendations. I'm not sure I would recommend this one, but anyway.
And also follow him because you can't tell right now, but he has a beautiful set of hair that he's hiding under that hat right there. Yeah. It's always a pleasure to see those pictures of him at those tennis matches.
He also has a go-to signal that works on all the ladies. Keep swimming.
That's been unconfirmed. The spare room has been utilized more often than not when I've give her the old jazz boom boom boom, and Tara sends me away. But Locked On Marlins, guys, if you aren't listening, head on over to Locked On Marlins. Would you believe it? There's a daily podcast covering the Marlins, and for some reason I said I'd do it. I don't know why, but it's been fun, and I enjoy it.
That you do it.
I appreciate you guys. Absolutely.
All right, Spaz, any final thoughts?
No, get out. Support the boys on this final.
Make sure you're out at the ballpark, man. That ballpark cannot look like it did on Tuesday this weekend.
Nope. Gotta get out there, be loud for the boys. Hopefully we make it in.
Bratton, any final thoughts?
What kind of prospect guy would I be if I didn't shout out the Jupiter Hammerheads on winning the Florida State League yesterday? They clinched. So, we have champions breeding in our farm system. And these guys are going to come up and propel us to a decade of good baseball here in Miami. So get out there to the park this weekend. A lot of great promotions going on. Let's pack the house and let's send the boys off to the final road trip on a high. And let's get the playoffs, baby.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Let's go.
Do you guys know if they're going to continue the flashback Fridays if we make the playoffs?
I would hope so.
They better.
Yeah, I would hope so. It's done
They
very
better, and it better be Flashback Fridays where we're wearing the Miami Marlins gear next year, and we're just the Florida Marlins again next year.
That'd be cool. I'll take the Miami Marlins if they like do a custom M.
Just put
instead
an
of
M
F.
there.
Yeah,
We're
I'm good with it. Look, I love the teal. All right. Well, if you are listening on audio, thank you for listening all the way to the end. As always, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Please leave 5 stars, review, and all that other good stuff. And if you are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like and subscribe. And as always, if you were part of the chat, thank you for participating in the chat. You guys are, as always, the best part of the show. And I mean, at this point, I think we all said either 5-1, 6-0. So regardless, we're going to be pretty happy next Thursday when we jump back on. No Peter Pratt next time, but Callie can do his best to join in and fill in the shoes of the UK great. So, well, we missed you, Callie. We can't wait to see you next week. And until the next one, have a good one.